Our main topic in this video is percents. We're going to be dealing with percent and number equivalents, part 2. In part 1, our objective was to write any number as a percent equivalent. In part 2, our objective is going to be to do the reverse. We're going to write any percent as a numerical equivalent. Okay, let's talk about what we know that's going to be applicable for this. We know a couple things. We know that number 1, the definition of percent, that it means out of 100 or per 100. If you think about this, out of and per indicates division. We're dividing by 100 or we're over 100. The second thing we know is that when we divide a number by 100, this is the same as moving the decimal 2 places to the right. Dividing by 100 results in the decimal moving 2 places to the right. Okay, so how do we do this? To write a percent as a numerical equivalent, first, we're going to rewrite the percent and we're going to replace the percent symbol, which is this. We're going to replace that with a denominator of 100. So because we know that percent, again from up here, we know that percent means out of 100. So the percent symbol, we're going to drop it, we're going to remove it, and we're going to replace it with divided by 100. We're going to actually state that. And then the second thing we're going to do, because we're going to wind up with a fraction when we have a denominator of 100, is we're either going to simplify if we're looking for the fraction equivalent, or we're going to do division. We're going to divide by 100 if we're looking for the decimal equivalent or the number, if I may, equivalent. Okay, I've got 5 examples for us. Let's take a look. Write 45% as a fraction and a decimal. Okay, first things first, we're going to rewrite it, replacing the percent symbol, this symbol, with a denominator of 100. So 45% means 45 out of 100. So let's write that. That's 45. I'm going to drop that symbol and replace it with the denominator of 100. So there's 45% as a fraction. Okay, now we know, of course, that if we want to talk about it as a fraction, most people want it to be in simplified form. So the fraction, we're going to take 45 and we're going to simplify it. The greatest common factor is 5, so I'll divide numerator and denominator by 5. Both by 5. And I'll come up with the simplified fraction of 9/20. Of course, 45 hundredths is a fraction. The simplified equivalency is 9/20. Let's take a look at the decimal. Now, you'll probably notice you can just read it, 45 100ths. And that tells you the place value. So 45 goes in the hundredths place, so it'll be 0.45. But as I said, if you're not sure about all that, we're going to divide for the decimal equivalency. So 45 100ths, that's the fraction. Okay, rewrite, replacing the percent symbol with the denominator. There it is. We know this is the same as 45 divided by 100. And we know that when we divide by 100, we're going to move the decimal, which is located right after the 5 here, 2 places to the left. Or we're going to use a calculator. And I'm going to put a 0 there to indicate so we can, the decimal is a little bit clearer. And there is your decimal equivalency of 0.45, again, which is read 45 hundredths, which is what this fraction says here. Okay, let's take a look at, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, okay, let's take a look at 1, 2, 3. Yep, I got enough space on this paper for what I want to do here. Let's take a look at a second example. I think I've got 5 on tap. How about write 4.3% as a fraction and a decimal. Let's do it both ways again. Depends what the question's asking, or depends maybe on how you want to use it. Okay, let's first replace this with this 100 denominator. So we know this is 4.3 over 100. Okay, so there is, you've replaced the percent symbol with the denominator of 100. Now, as a fraction, most people aren't very happy when they have a decimal in their fraction, a decimal number in their fraction in the middle of things. So we're going to take this and we're going to rewrite this. So 4.3 out of 100. Well, I'm going to multiply both numerator and denominator times 10, because I know when I multiply by 10, the decimal moves one place to the right, and that'll move my decimal out of the number. So I have a 43, and 100 times 10 is 1,000. So there's your fraction, 43 thousandths. And as you might imagine, I believe 43 is prime, so this cannot be simplified any further. That's your fraction. Okay, for your decimal, we're going to simply do the division. So we have 4.3 out of 100. I've again replaced the percent symbol with the denominator of 100. So that's the same as 4.3 divided by 100. Okay, so we're dividing by 100, and we know that moves the decimal two places to the right, 1, 2, and I have 0.043, and there's your decimal equivalency to 4.3%. It is 0.043. Okay, let's do a couple more examples. Let's do 3 more examples. Let's, kind of help to solidify the idea a little bit. And we'll do a couple of different types of numbers. How about 315%? Write 315% as a fraction and a decimal. Okay, first things first, let's replace the percent, let's replace the percent symbol with a denominator of 100. So this is 315 over 100. We remember from the previous video that when your percent is greater than 100 and 315% is greater than 100%, we're going to have an improper fraction. And we indeed have an improper fraction. Okay, so as a fraction, we generally want to simplify it. So we have 315 over 100. Let's see here. If I simplify this, it looks like they both can be divided by 5. I'm going to do this kind of in my head right now. I see that ending in a 5 and a 0 means 5 is a common factor. 315 divided by 5, I believe, is 63. Let's check that. 5 goes into 31, 6. Yeah, 63. 100 divided by 3 is 20. And I believe that's it. That's my simplified fraction, 63 twentieths. You can change that into a mixed number if you'd like to. Let's do the decimal equivalency to 315%. Well, here's the fraction. Now let's simply do the division. 315 divided by 100. A fraction's a division problem. 315 divided by 100. The decimal's right here. We're going to move it 2 places to the left, or we're going to use our calculator. And the decimal, or the number equivalency to 315% is 3.15. And again, we know this is greater than 100%. So our number should be greater than 1, and it's 3 and 1500ths. It's a little greater than 3. All right, 2 more examples. How about the percent, 0.5%? So let's write 1/2 of 1%, or 0.5 of a percent, as a fraction. Whoops. And a decimal. Okay, well, let's first drop this. We're going to drop the percent symbol and replace it with a 100 denominator. So I leave my number alone and I put it over 100. Okay, again, that's not the nicest looking thing. Most people don't like having visible decimals in their fractions. So I'm going to take the fraction And I'm going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 10 because multiplying by 10 moves the decimal one place to the right and gets it out of the way. And this will give me, let's see, 0.5 times 10 is 5. And 100 times 10 is 1,000. And this can be simplified by dividing numerator and denominator by the common factor of 5. And the simplified fraction is 1/200th, or 1 over 200. Okay, let's take a look at the decimal, or the number. Okay, again, we have this fraction, 0.5 over 100. This is a division problem. 5/10, or 0.5 divided by 100. I'm just going to write it out. And we know when we divide by 100, the decimal moves 2 places to the left, 1, 2. So we need 2 zeros, and then we'll write the 5, and there's the number as a decimal. So 0.5% is equal to 5 thousandths, is equal to this decimal number, or this number. All right, last example, let's take a look at a mixed number. Whoops, made a mistake here. Let's make sure we put example 5 on there. Okay, so let's write 5 7/10% as a fraction and a decimal. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here, again, we put it over 100. We're going to drop the percent sign and put it over 100. So this is 5 7/10 over 100. Well, this is a mixed number inside of a fraction, and that's not what most people like to see when they leave things, particularly as a fraction. This is kind of a complex or a compound fraction. One idea might be 7/10 I know is 0.7. So perhaps we can write this as 5.7 over 100. So I'm going to write 7/10 as 7/10 in its decimal form. Oh, okay. So let's take a look now as a fraction. Okay, I have 5.7 over 100, and I'm back to where I was in this problem up here. Okay, I've got this decimal. I need to move it one place to get it out of the way to make it, so it's not visible. I cannot write it and make my fraction look a little neater. So I multiply both numerator and denominator by 10. Multiplying by 10 shifts the decimal one place to the right, and it's 57 over 1,000. Okay, so 57 thousandths, and that's simple. 57 is a prime number, so 57 thousandths is the simplified fraction. Okay, let's take a look at it as a decimal. I know my fraction is 5.7 over 100. I'm just going to use this one because it's a little nicer than using this mixed number. And I know that I can simply do the division. So this is 5.7 divided by 100. And I know dividing by 100 moves the decimal 2 places to the left. So 1, 2 means I need a 0, 0, 5, 7. So 5 7/10% is equivalent to 57 thousandths, which I can also see here, which is 0.057. So really the key to changing a percent, to a number is to remove the percent symbol and replace that with the denominator of 100, in essence creating a fraction. And then it's just a division problem, numerator divided by denominator.